You may have known that you can burn through spawn gates as Pyro. However, there are a lot more things in this game that you can end up burning through. We're going to take a look at the flamethrower real quick, and we're going to explain how you can burn through many things in this game that you didn't think you could. So you are this Pyro. Your job is to burn this Pyro one up. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your flamethrower and you're going to burn him. You're going to shoot him with flames. He's going to be dead, and you're going to be happy. The flamethrower specifically ends up working by shooting these little invisible boxes out of it. Now these boxes actually don't care about world geometry, they'll pass right through it. These boxes are also sized by a variable in the game, tf_flamethrower_box size. Its default value is 12. So what does that mean? Basically it means that it shoots out 24 by 24 by 24 cubes. The reason why it's 12 is because that's the distance from the center to the edge, essentially. When one of these cubes hits an enemy, no matter what, it ends up marking the enemy as being hit. At this point, it will then send a tracer back to the Pyro, and if there's nothing in the way, it'll end up just going through. If there's something like a wall in the way, it'll end up not registering as a hit, and the guy won't set on fire. The important situation here is what happens when you're parallel to an enemy with a wall in the way. So it's actually relatively interesting. This is how people found to burn through spawn gates, and this is how some interesting things happen. Basically, what happens is it's dependent on the width of the wall. If the wall is greater than 24 hammer units wide, what ends up happening is that the boxes will always be inside the wall during the situation, and they'll just always collide. If the boxes are between 24 and 12 hammer units wide, they'll end up having the center of the box always be in the wall, because it has to be slightly past 12 to actually hit him. At this point, that means any tracer that goes back to the Pyro will fail and the enemy won't set on fire. So what happens when a wall is less than 12 hammer units wide? At this point, the center of that box is actually on the same side as the Pyro if he's parallel to the wall. So what happens is the box will hit the spy, or wherever you're aiming at, and it'll register as a hit. But at the same time, whenever the tracer goes back from the center, it will go back to the Pyro on the same side of the wall, and actually won't register as any world geometry being hit. So the spy will catch on fire and register as hit. At this point, you'll promptly be banned from your favorite server because you're shooting people through walls. And really, it's not that hard to test. You can go on Badwater, there are plenty of 8 hammer unit thick walls in this situation that you can easily burn through just by being flush to it. So wouldn't it work if I just directly aimed at a wall in this situation and do that, since the tracer would be on the other side of the wall technically if it's 8 hammer units thick? Well, not quite. Valve is actually not that dumb to let that happen. It probably happened to playtest sometime. And the area that the tracer actually sends back is not from the center of the box. It's actually slightly extended outwards the direction it sends, so it actually checks a little bit farther in the box to see if that's hitting world geometry. So you can't actually aim at someone directly head on and do it. But anytime it's parallel, it works. Oh, also, as a note, this technically also works with ceilings, because ceilings are just world geometry. Honestly, ceilings are probably the better use of this, because there are actually a lot of 8 hammer unit thick ceilings in this game, with a lot of abuse potential. I'm just going to show some situations in this next part that basically just have a lot of various areas you can burn through. I really actually recommend Badwater as a good map if you're going to go out and try this on. Badwater and Upward have a lot of situations where you can utilize this technique very effectively to help stop cart pushes and whatnot. I really do think it's a good thing to just go out and have in your arsenal. Although not many people actually know how to do this. I've actually never seen a guide on this topic before. And if you're a map maker who's trying to prevent this from happening, the easiest way to do it is to make sure that your walls and your ceilings are basically 16 hammer units thick. I know that's kind of hard in some situations that it doesn't match with certain texture alignments, and if that situation doesn't work, you can do what Double Cross does, and you can player clip the walls slightly to where players cannot be completely flush with them. As long as there's basically a 16 hammer unit gap between where the player can hit the wall collision-wise and where the player can hit the wall collision-wise, you'll always be able to prevent anyone from burning through anything on your map.